You're listening to the Mopcast Network.
Mopcast Network presents...
Live from Stupid Mop Studios, located in Mobile, Alabama.
It's Tuesdays with Scotty.
This is the podcast about whatever the hell Scotty wants to talk about.
From pop culture to food, movies, comics, or games.
Literally whatever the hell Scotty wants to talk about.
If you don't like it,
get your own podcast.
Now here's your host, your Native American pop culture spirit guide, Scotty.
But I asked earlier this week when I asked to come do the show, us being Joe fans, I was like, what's your top 10 favorite Joes?
Yeah.
And then I made that list too, and then I decided that I couldn't just pick 10, so I had 5 honorable mentions.
Yeah.
So I listed mine in order, in a number. Did you just list them, or?
I'll put them in order.
All right. So
it's flexible, but yeah.
So let me get my honorable mentions out real quick. AVAC.
Yeah. Terradrome guy.
Yeah, the Fireback pilot looks awesome.
He does.
The silver.
He's got that weird folding backpack thing.
Right.
It's supposed to be a parachute, I suppose. Yeah.
Right, but it looked like when I got my Terradrome as a kid.
Oh yeah.
Oh, pulling that Firebat out and that pilot, 12 Road Pig, as the aforementioned, because he came with a stick with a cinder block.
Yep, and looked like he could hoist it and
knock
the hell out of you.
You're right. Night Viper's my
I didn't think about Night Viper. That dark green and black with the telescoping lens right on his mask.
But I
love that.
I was a sucker for movable visors.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's a great accessory. This is cheating, but the entire Python Patrol line, I just can't pick one because I don't like Tiger Force. I hate the Tiger Force colors. Python Patrol was cool.
That copperhead is epic looking.
Oh, the Viper with the red visor.
Yeah.
Oh, so great. I want to say that cosplay, and then low light.
Yeah.
Low light, and mainly because like the figure's okay, but man, in the show,
yeah,
low light's great.
He's kind of an antisocial assassin / sniper kind of guy.
You're like
always talking like this,
right? And you're just like, are you really a good guy? Or I'm glad you're on our team. All right, I'll let you start with your number 10.
All right, number 10 again. This is very flexible. I have some honorable mentions too. We can go back to them.
Yeah.
But number 10, I'm going to say Stalker. Stalker's always one of the top characters for me since the first line. He's like always got the jetpack, always flying around on the damn jetpack, doing awesome things with the jetpack. Always at the front, always leading the charge.
The toy came with a really awesome gun.
He did, and he's Series 1. So I had a straight arm Stalker. I found one outside my school at the time, just laying there. Nobody could claim it, so I took it home and had an extra one. So he lives in my heart that way.
I'm Stalker. This is my brother, Stalker.
And then in '89, they put out another Stalker, the first one since '82, that had this big ass canoe.
Oh yeah,
paddles, and it was still cost $3.99. And he had a little beanie on for the weather and a white jacket,
right?
And just such a nice sculpt.
It was almost like it should have been an Icebergs figure, and then they're like, no, let's make this Stalker
because Stalker's better than Iceberg.
Absolutely,
Stalker's always in the leadership chain, and I dug that.
I absolutely. My number 10 is the Iron Grenadier.
Yeah, Destro's boys.
I mean, like I've got a couple of troopers in this, but out of all the troopers, looks awesome. Like Destro made his guys look great
and completely distinct from the Cobra guys.
Absolutely.
The mask had the breather that looked totally different than the faceless flat Cobra mask.
Right,
but they still look good.
They came with that cool machine gun and a sword,
like a dress sword,
right,
and a sheath.
Right, I'm like, yeah, I'll
hang from a belt.
Right, I need these guys in my man. I love them so much. They look so. Out of all of Destro's, what was that group called? What is Destro's guys called? What they?
The Iron Grenadiers?
No, not the Iron Grenadiers, but his army has
Mars. That was the name of his company, but he called the whole army was the Iron Grenadiers.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
Out of all
just the troops,
right? But out of all the Iron Grenadiers, they're the best looking troops. They're better than the Annihilators and the
Annihilators and the Targets are good though.
But they're not. They're not like.
They're good though.
They're good.
I mean, they came with those little extras,
right? Oh yeah,
the little flight packs, the helicopter pack.
Man, to be 10 again in 1980 or whatever. I'd buy extras so I could sell them today.
Oh, yeah.
But All right. Sorry. Tangents. That's what my show's all about. Tangents.
So at number 9, I had Hit and Run. The full camo, the picture on the package where he's rappelling down, had the cool backpack and the gun with the bayonet. It's just a really sweet looking figure.
So good.
I just like the look of that figure.
It's a great figure. It's great.
I don't think he ever had much of a role in the cartoons.
No.
Because it's very late. I think he was an 87 figure.
Yeah. By then they were changing companies. I mean, by then we had the movie, and so they were.
Yeah, and then that terrible cartoon that followed. The second one was awful.
Oh, it was really, really bad. My number 9 is Destro version 2 because someone has to lead the Iron Grenadiers. Looks great, gold helmet, cape,
little half cape, Shazam style.
Right. It was great. I like him so much because as a kid I didn't have a Darth Vader figure at the time, so because did you mix your toys when you were little?
I'm a purist, Scotty, so no.
Okay, so I think I am the odd person out because everyone I've talked to, and I asked this to all my toy collector friends, I always ask. Everyone kept things separate, and I kept things separate by scale. Like He-Man never hung out with G.I. Joe because that just didn't work in my brain. But like Luke and Duke would hang out and fight Cobra.
Luke and Duke.
Right. Because that would make sense to me, Luke and Duke hanging out, but because they're 3 3/4 inches, so that was like, so I didn't have a Darth Vader, but so Destro with the cape and stuff stood in. He had stormtroopers. He was a great stand-in for it. So yeah,
and he would love that. By the way, Destro would be like, hell yeah, I'm Darth Lord of the Sith. But he'd be betraying the Emperor way before Vader did.
Right. Looking for his Leia or his Lady J, whichever one would come first to him.
That's correct. Number 8, I've got Sci-Fi. Love Sci-Fi, despite the lime
lights,
green.
buddy.
Yeah, there are a lot of rumors he's coming up soon in the Classified series, and I hope so. And I hope they update the look, even though I love the old look. But he was the second laser trooper after Flash. Flash was the first series guy. But which
is weird because in the cartoon they all have lasers.
Yeah, but yeah, true. But no figure looked remotely like Sci-Fi.
Right,
completely different kind of aesthetic, and I dug it. He's a 5th series guy, so he did show up in a lot of the cartoons.
I want this figure, my next one, so bad and Classified. I think we'll see him in Super 7 before we get him in Classified, but I need a Nemesis Enforcer in my life.
What you need is a Nemesis Enforcer with the collapsible wings,
right?
Like these gargoyles figures.
Absolutely,
you need the full Nemesis Enforcer.
Right, I need a full Nemesis Enforcer.
Where, like, he towers over everybody, and his wingspan is like 3 figures wide.
And if you could pull his arm blades a little out, like I have a weird love for G.I. Joe the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I do too. I love it.
It's solid. I like it. I like it more than the rest of the movies, and they're really movies that got broken up into 5 episodes. But there's something about that, and like they pushed how weird they could go.
They did,
and for me, it works.
It absolutely works. There's so much drama in that, and introducing the new faction to sell some really awful toys.
Right.
Because Globulus and Nemesis,
because Globulus didn't work. You
just laying flat on the ground.
The idea of a toy, like, it didn't work. You should have made him and it would have been more expensive, but the flying thing would have, and then you could open it and he's a snake inside.
There were ways they could have made that tail work. They went cheap.
Yeah,
it was terrible.
But also the Royal Guard they look cool. I mean, that's such a design, but
the bioorganic, techno-organic kind of look.
But there's something about Nemesis Enforcer who is just awe-inspiring. Yep. He just shows up. I mean, and then secondly would be Python, which we didn't get a finger until like 2015 or whatever on. But like the design of that, plus he fights Sergeant Slaughter. Sergeant Slaughter beats him, and you're good that you're happy. Like Sergeant Slaughter beats him in a way where he's just, this is for Duke, and just lands on him, and this is for the U.S. of A. And I felt super patriotic at that. 10 years old. I was
it's
like,
hard not to in Sergeant.
God damn! It's funny. I've met him. The last time he was at Huntsville.
Yeah.
And when we both were up that show, and I like him. Sergeant Slaughter understands that he has 2 distinct and different fan bases that may or may not cross over.
Yep.
And I'm not a wrestling fan, but to me, he's always Sergeant Slaughter from G.I. Joe. Always. And like we talked about, I talked about that scene as if he was in it.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Oh yeah," and then I took him down, and like, how good is it just to play along with this? I'm an adult, but he's definitely talking to my 10-year-old self.
That's correct.
Oh, it's so generous with me, so generous. So Nemesis Forces, man, they need to make one.
I'm sure that's going to happen at some point.
I think
It's
Super
too
7
much
will
of
do.
an
I
opportunity.
think Super 7 will do it first, but
yeah, with the way that they're going,
but imagine
I can see that happening.
I'll pay $55 for a big one with good wings.
You're probably paying 110 for that one.
I'll pay 110 for that one for good one. Nemesis Enforcer.
Well, my number 7 is the Crimson Guard. And that one could be anywhere from 7 to 3 or 4 on my list, to be honest.
Right.
There's just so many great figures to choose from, but the design of that figure came out in 84, same time as the twins, Tomax and Zaymod, and the whole story around that and the way that they packaged it. But that red outfit with the bayoneted M16 style rifle that they had, and the trapezoidal backpack,
right,
with the Cobra insignia on it, and the silver and black trim. It's one of the coolest designs they ever came
I also like
with.
the upgrade, the Immortal they did a few years later.
It was good.
They also look cool. The thing I like about Crimson Guards is most of all though is their file card, because like Larry Hama is smart in this, because he's like, these are not normal soldiers or grunts. These are accountants and lawyers and it's like your neighbor could have a Cobra uniform in his closet. I mean, I was just like, at like 7 or 8 or whatever, reading that, I'm like, oh, well, I know my neighbors were, because they weren't accountants, lawyers. but the thought that like your neighbor could be a member of Cobra is like crazy. It's like it's funny, because like I thought like that, like my neighbor could be a bad person, never crosses my mind until I'm at that age and I read that file card. So I mean, that's awesome. Yeah, they look so damn cool. Crimson Guard was great. And we're getting them, I think.
I'm excited to see the classified version.
The classic. And we're getting Zaymon Tomax, so the Guard's coming. My number 7 is Flint.
Oh, yeah. Flint's classic.
Flint.
It was always, and because I had a buddy that sort of collected alongside me in high school and middle school. And to me, it was like a Rolling Stones Beatles kind of discussion between Flint and Duke. You could be one, but not both.
Right.
And I'm a Duke guy.
Okay.
So, and I love Flint. Oh, yeah. Always a great figure. The classified version is ridiculously good. But I was always a Duke guy, so I didn't put Flint on my list, because at 51 years old, I'm still a Duke guy.
I got you. I feel you. I feel Flint's on my list, and I will say the first 2 figures I ever bought as a kid, I didn't buy, my parents bought for me because I was 6, were Duke and Roadblock.
Yep.
So Duke's always somewhere in my heart. Plus, he took a snake to the heart and survived it.
Yep.
And so
thanks Optimus Prime for setting that trend of
saving Duke,
traumatizing kids.
And so, however, there's something about Flint with simple.
Yep.
Comes with a shotgun.
That's correct.
A little backpack, and he's wearing a beret. Yep. And I'm like, I'm all into
and he
this.
Yells a whole lot.
I'm all into
barking orders.
Yeah, I'm into this. He's a warrant officer. I'm like, what does he do? Don't care. I'm into this. I really need this guy.
He's got that big fist in the air, yelling posture.
Right.
His card art.
Right. I'm just like, I don't know what you're doing besides Lady J, but I'm all into it. So, yeah, Flint, big part of my like. And I never got an original. The first one I got was a Tiger Force as a kid. And
that was a pretty good one, though.
Yeah, but I was like, oh god, I finally can get. I was more excited to finally be able to get a Flint, because I couldn't find. Because when we were kids, once those waves were out, they were gone, and the next wave was already here. They were putting out waves so fast. Yeah. So if you miss Flint, you miss Flint. So
yeah, a lot of them had high dollar values by the end of the 80s.
Right, and like. And he's in good episodes, and he's just like, he really takes over that leadership in the mid run of those cartoons.
Oh, yeah. They did a good job of storytelling.
Yeah, that's so good.
At number 6, I've got Destro.
Classic.
Destro's always high on my list.
Classic.
Funny, so over the top, full of himself. I don't know why I like Traders so much, because I like Starscream, Transformers, and I like Destro. I like those seedy characters that 100% they're going to betray everybody involved with them, and they always do. You just know it's coming, and they're just fun to me.
So, two things I like about Destro. First of all, I like the fact that he has got this weird Scottish history where he has to wear a mask, and Lady J is also involved. That's a great episode because there's that weird octopus monster that lives in the like it's. Yeah. Who does that?
It's like these guys had stories for heavy metal magazines stored in their basements.
Right.
Like, if I take this character and replace it with G.I. Joe character, I can tell the same story.
Right. Absolutely. And then I like the fact that I'm going to go ahead and say I don't think Dr. Mindbender makes any one of our lists. Okay. So Mindbender is a dentist who is, I mean, that's why he's a Dr. Up, which is my favorite fact about Dr. Mindbender. He is Cobra's chief interrogator, but in the cartoons, he convinces Destro to be like, hey, let's rob the tombs of history's greatest leaders so we can make a dude. Destro's like, I'm into that. I have a thing that we can make do. I'm into that.
He's a very good dentist.
In fact, in G.I. Joe the movie, when it's revealed that my member gets that from because the Cobra plants that in them, Destro's like, no, wait, we did this. His idea, my stuff. We did this.
That's correct.
So.
By the way, the bottom character on my list, if I can just put this out there real quick, Serpentor. I hate him. I hate him so much.
You and I.
Shipwreck is just above him, but they're just barely.
Yeah, you know, I almost wore my Serpentor shirt. I want to. He's on this top 10.
I knew he would be
because he's great. I'll defend him. I will defend his Serpentor, but he's not here yet.
Who's your 6?
Number 6, Alley Viper. Alley Viper,
Auburn Viper, as we call him in the state.
Right. He's the wrong colors. Also, he's an urban warfare specialist. Yep. He's an orange and blue, which is not good colors to like if you want to hide in an urban setting. I mean, just seriously, if you're gonna go hide
at a Broncos game
or in Auburn University, you're not gonna. Okay, so what's great about this figure is that, he had, again, I have a thing for visors. Something about it, like as a kid, as a visor. Yep. His gun was epic.
It really
was.
His
backpack's epic. Yep. Plus, he comes with a riot shield. The figure was 88, so I'm 11. It's like the best thing ever.
And they were hitting on all cylinders in 88. They put out some crazy, weird figures that year that were super fun. The Night Viper was in the same wave. Hydro Vipers, the ones with the demon mask.
Oh, yeah.
In the same wave. Yeah, they put out some beautiful work that year, and the Iron Grenadier stuff was around that same time. Right. So you got the Targets, the Iron Grenadiers,
the Annihilators,
the Annihilators, their helicopter things.
Yeah.
So they were doing some interesting, high level sci-fi stuff.
Right. Such a great video. Yeah. So Alley Viper. And apparently the plot of that terrible Dick cartoon where Scoop. Yeah, it's
Scoop.
Remember Scoop? The journalist G.I. Joe, and Captain Gridiron, the football playing G.I. Joe.
Yes. This is when it started to turn.
Right. So it was like, I guess this is 89, and it's Operation Dragonfire. Yeah, there we go. And the main plot is they have a new G.I. Joe Scoop guy who used to be an Alley Viper, and I'm like, that guy could never be an Alley Viper. And how dare it? But there's one Alley Viper that they just keep calling Alley Viper. They didn't even name him. He's like, Alley Viper. Like, when Scoop was an Alley Viper, was he also an Alley Viper?
That was just his name, Alley.
Right. Well, we got Python Patrol in that, so that was okay. So they didn't make a Alley Viper.
There was nothing okay about those cartoons.
No, that was it. They were all terrible.
The charm went away.
No, there's some of them that they're okay, but then like when G.I. Joe starts fighting drugs and at eco-terrorism, I'm done.
Yeah, when you can buy a drug dealer figure.
It's like,
there was an episode where Cobra Commander was swinging through the trees with apes.
Oh,
and when I saw that, I was like, and I was, probably 20 something at the time. I was like, I'm out.
I mean, it's like, it's been a while. I've been with you for thick and thin, but out.
Yeah.
Just gonna walk away. Just gonna walk away. You're number 5, sir.
Duke. He was a mail-in figure, and you'll see by my top 5, I am very partial to those first mail-in figures. That experience of going to the mailbox and getting a figure that you could not get anywhere else was not duplicable to me. I mean, it was just such a singular experience at that age of 12, 13 years old.
Well, also for us, and I think I think I can say we had similar backgrounds where our families didn't have a lot of money.
Correct.
And so when you manage to scrape and have enough figures to get a free figure,
right. Your flag points and $2.95 shipping or whatever
Right,
it was,
yeah.
99-cent shipping back in those days, whatever it was. Yeah, it was amazing to get those figures in the mail. It was like better than Christmas.
right? And it was funny because it took 6 to 8 weeks to get there.
Yep.
And technically
Agonizing 6 to 8
but
weeks.
but it got to the point for me. It was like for like 2 weeks I'd remember, and then I'd forget about it, and then it shows up, and it's like Christmas. Oh yeah, I did have this guy come in,
and it wasn't a cheap, shitty figure that they were just sending you to as a placeholder. Duke had the file card.
right?
He was fully painted and articulated and came with accessories just like all the other figures. And he may have been slightly better than the other 83 figures.
Probably.
He
had great gear too. He had the helmet, the
backpack with a shovel in the middle of it. Yeah, the gun, and just getting that figure in the mail. And I think it's why I love Duke to this day is just that experience. And I've got 2 other figures in my top 5 that were the same way.
Right.
That they're still in my home to this day.
I again a little older, but did you do the mailaways for like Steel Brigade and where you got to make your own G.I. Joe?
I did. Yeah. I wish I could remember what I called him.
I called mine Laser because I was 8 or 9 or whatever. That sounded like that sounded like a badass name. I'm Laser, and so I still have my Laser and my file card because it's me, Scotty White, Laser. Yeah,
lots of laser stuff in G.I. Joe, so it makes sense.
Yeah, it made sense. My number 5 is the Bat.
Yeah.
When the G.I. Joe cartoon realized that they needed something so they could shoot,
yeah,
was the greatest thing ever.
Well, the beauty of that though was they took it and turned it into an all-time favorite figure for a lot of people.
Right.
They put a little hologram sticker on there, which they didn't even duplicate for classified.
Right.
They didn't even go that far, which kind of surprised me because that to me is part of the iconic Bat look.
What's easier to do than Zircon's like sun thing, and then they made the sun thing. I don't know. I have one. Do you have one?
Yeah.
Have you seen it work? Have you worked? I haven't taken it out of the package.
I haven't removed one from the box. I got the regular classified figure out of the box, but that one with all the masks is probably going to live in the box.
Yeah, mine will live in the box. And so
because it's a beautiful package,
gorgeous figure,
and it's going to stay.
Zircon almost made my list, but I had to be honest because the reason why he didn't make my list is because I put criteria on mine, and my criteria was I had to at least own them.
Yep.
I never had a Zartan.
Yeah.
And so until way later. It's
cool, weird figure.
God,
Very
right,
weird compared to the rest.
Right, and come with neat accessories, the mask, the
chameleon.
The chameleon's great.
Yeah.
And then I have a complete one in the closet.
You could put that face in his backpack.
Right.
It's so weird.
And what's great about the new classified one, same thing. The mask fits his face. Even the little
like 8 or 9 different masks on the new.
Well, no, the original, the he's got like 8 masks, or 6 or 8 masks.
In the Master of Disguise box.
Yeah, in the Master. But the regular one, he still has his regular mask, which I think is cool. But bats, Battle Android Troopers, they look awesome.
Yep.
They came with 3 great accessories that immediately were lost after you opened the pack. But they had a backpack that would hold them.
Yep.
I got my bat the same year. I got the same Christmas. I got the Terradome. Because I asked for 2 things from Santa that year: a bat and a Terradome, and my parents figured that out.
That's awesome.
Like they found a bat. Like they don't. What is he talking about? Because they didn't watch this stuff or care, but they found both of those things for me. Bats are just
Terradome, greatest playset ever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about my dad was upset that they bought it for me for Christmas. Because this is the 80s and he didn't want his boy growing up with no Barbie Dream House. And then Dad helped me put it together because I was 10 or whatever when it came out, and had more fun putting that thing together with me.
It was a lot of fun to build.
And so then so I think he got it afterwards. And so it's my favorite place.
When you can pull that AVAC out with a lever and it comes through that dome.
Right. Oh, he liked the fact that it had a brig and these guns on the side.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a good. You could run ferrets up into it. It's just like you can fill them. I had a pumping station for.
I never had a USS Flag, but I find it hard to believe that anything was going to trump just the cool factor of the Terradome.
Right. It's like flags are. I've never had a flag either. I saw a flag. I had a kid that was a neighbor to my grandmother's house who had a flag, but it was just so cumbersome to put it on his bed, and then we never really played with it. But the Terradome's small enough to to manage. And I kept that thing for years.
I kept mine for a long time too.
Kind of want another one, but I'm not ready to pay. They're like 600.
I have nowhere to put it anyway.
I have 600, but yeah, bats.
My number 4 is Firefly. Just the cool factor of his look, the saboteur aspect, the kind of underhanded.
Are you pro Ninja Firefly or classic? Because he wasn't a Snake Eyes' group. Because
yeah, he's not a Rashikage.
Yeah, until like later in the run.
Yeah, and but I always assumed he was a ninja because he came out in around the same time as Storm Shadow, so I just assumed he was a ninja, and I'd included him in that because his mask is so cool. But regardless, his little phone, all of his gear, just such a cool figure.
God, Firefly was great. Firefly was also great in the show.
Great in the show. I love the classified version with the big heavy flak jacket that he wears. A lot of people didn't like that. I kind of dug the iteration using that, but just such an iconic look. I mean, still lives in her trouble bubble at my house. Firefly forever.
Nice. My number 4, we've mentioned him before, from Auburn, Alabama, Beachhead.
Yep.
Where there's no beaches. Loved him. Loved having this figure as a kid because he looked cool. Because he was like, why is he wearing the mask?
Yep.
Because you're like, is he like Snake Eyes? Did he screw up his face, or is it just? For me now, I think it's just like his casual wear. It's what he's like. Plus, you find out that he doesn't wear deodorant, which is kind of funny. and Arise for Mentor Arise, kind of a jerk.
Yep.
And I was like, I kind of respected that.
Is he the toughest, Joe? Is Beachhead the toughest?
I would say second toughest. Sergeant Slaughter's the toughest, Joe.
Roadblock's up there too.
Third.
Yeah.
Third. But like sheer like toughness. I mean,
yeah.
Sergeant Slaughter, right? But Beach has a good close second.
Yeah.
I mean, plus he had all those Uzi clips in his chest.
The C4 packs on his backpack.
You're just like, he is meaning business.
Oh yeah.
While cheering for Auburn. He's I mean, loved him. Loved Beachhead. Loved the classified Beachhead. Just it's great. That was the first classified figure that I bought for myself.
Yeah, the beret was an interesting but nice touch.
Right.
That's the kind of thing I like about classified that they seem to be stepping away from, was just these little accents that brought them a little more modern and gave them a little more dimension.
Right.
Instead, they're kind of going with bigger versions of the old figures, which I'm not mad at it, but I liked just having this one or two little extra things that they did that made them stand out from what they used to be.
Right.
And made it more appealing to me as a middle-aged person to delve back in. It doesn't slow me down.
Number 3, we're in the top 3. Do you have any more honorable mentions before we get?
Honorable mentions. I had Rampart on my list, but I realized I left Crimson Guard off, so Rampart got bumped to honorable mention.
Gotcha.
Rampart is one of the coolest looks. He's got the hood, the visors, he's got the hip gun. That's about 5 inches long for a 3 3/4 inch figure.
Right.
And his hands would hold it. So that thing, he could just spray in an
Right.
arc.
It reminds you of Aliens.
Yeah,
With the smart guns. Yeah.
A little missile thing.
Yeah.
A little mortar, handheld mortar. I love that figure. Ripper, my favorite Dreadnought, just because he was the most brutal to me.
Right.
With the way that he used his gun and the axe that was on the end of it.
I think my favorite Dreadnought's Buzzer. Because of his file card. Yeah. He's the college professor who went to go study Dreadnoughts and then became a Dreadnought. Yeah. I'm just like, I respect that. Yeah. That's an interesting twist there, Larry Hama.
Very cool. Lampreys, the driver for the Hydrofoil, which is my favorite vehicle ever.
I think they're some of the best looking. I think them and the Motor Viper are some of the coolest looking drivers.
I should have put Lampreys higher on my list because those meant a lot to me. The Hydrofoil and Lampreys, love those. The Target from the Iron Grenadiers line, with the ones they drop from orbit,
right?
They're little mini jetpack backpacks, and I just thought those were cool looking figures.
I didn't put them on my list, but just sparking memory because we're talking about accessories a lot. I have to throw an honorable mention for Storm Shadow version 2.
Oh God.
So
I didn't even think about that figure, but he's one of the best ever.
So because he looks badass,
completely,
just looks badass, And then plus he comes with a bow and arrow just about the time Rambo 2's hitting.
Yep.
So all is new. Those arrows had explosive tips. He's blowing up Cobra hisses with that thing. Comes with a sword and a backpack, and then he comes with like a Wolverine claw or a Vega claw from Street Fighter, and you're just like, this is. I remember buying mine at Toys R Us and here in Mobile and loving it. I was so excited because I didn't think I was going to find one, and so I also like Astro Vipers.
Yeah,
because they look.
They have that weird alien style helmet.
Weird alien style helmet, but they had the cool
they had thrusters on their
backpacks and guns, and so and I also like the pilot for the what was the Cobra spaceship? About at the same time.
I know what you're talking about, and I'm blanking. Star Viper.
The Star Viper. That he looked awesome too.
He did.
And then he's also file cards, because file cards always win me over, that kind of stuff. But you'd find out that they're Night Raven pilots, so they're Stratovipers. They're from that pool. Stratovipers are surgically altered. Star Vipers are surgically altered on top of that to make them go up in space without getting sick and knocking out. I'm just like, who volunteers for that? What's the pay for this? Like,
if Dr. Mindbender can talk you into just digging up old graves to make a guy, I guess he can talk you into altering your DNA.
Absolutely. All right, number 3.
Cobra Commander.
Nice.
Cobra Commander was the first mail-away figure. When the series first came out, when the toys first came out, you had no bad guys to start with.
Right.
And then they came out with the Cobra Officer and Trooper, which are amazing designs to this day. The simplicity, the Y back and H back and all that stuff. They're just, to me, they're genius level sculpts and designs. They're so perfect the way they did it. And then in some of the vehicles, they dropped this little white piece of paper about index card size with Cobra Commander, the black and white version of his file card art, just looking wild with the full face plate. That the helmet is the same shape as the trooper and the officer,
right?
And that weird hair dryer gun. That
had, whatever it was.
And you could send away for it with just enough flag points. Thankfully, I'd saved them, and they sent you that thing, and it was a straight arm,
right?
The first run. And that thing showed up weeks later, and I was in for life at that point. It was just that feeling as a kid of getting a figure on that level and he had the mold on his back that's the shape of the gun.
Right.
No other G.I. Joe ever had that.
Right.
It was completely unique.
He's a great figure. Didn't make my list because I never owned one.
Yeah.
I didn't get Cobra Commanders until I started collecting. So as a kid I never had one. But my first one was Battle Armor.
Yeah,
which is a good figure. If I was in a top 25, it'd have been in the top 25. It was a great figure, but because had the cool backpack. I was like, he flies with this, which I don't care. And but the thing that threw me off was a scuba gear mouthpiece, which was weird. But Cobra Commander's good. I like them both. I like Hooded and Silver Faced.
The character of Cobra Commander is so reprehensible. And it doesn't matter which iteration of it's in the cartoon or Larry Hama's brilliant depiction in the comics. He's always a sniveling coward who's just smart enough to come up with these plans and sometimes pull them off.
Well, in the comics, he's a used car salesman who decides to do this, and then in the cartoons, he's a brilliant scientist in Cobra Law who is terribly, I guess, terrible at military tactics. I don't know how the connection was, but that was a leap.
But
damn, he looked cool. Like I want that from Super 7. I want a Cobra Commander with a mask comes off and it's got the snake face and a bunch of eyes.
I'm surprised they didn't do that.
Man, I'm waiting.
I wonder if we're going to get a hooded version later or something like that.
See, I don't think we're going to get a hooded version because of the KKK stuff. I know Hasbro is definitely staying away from it. So Super 7 might do it because of the cartoon, but I don't think I don't like it makes sense. It's an easy makes sense to me though. A hooded version, yeah, of course you make a hooded version.
Yeah. Well, the deluxe classified version, the black and gold trim is one of the best figures I've ever seen of any line ever.
One of my favorites that they've done over the years is I guess this is from 2010, but I think it was the San Diego Comic-Con exclusive, but it's Cobra Commander in a suit, and he's got the hood, and it's got a podium.
Yeah,
he's like running for president.
I've seen that,
man, it's a great figure. It's on my short list of things to buy for my collection. But it's a great looking figure. Cobra Commander's so good.
I think without Cobra Commander, G.I. Joe doesn't become what it is. If
right.
it's not for that character, being the villain he is and playing off of Destro in particular, that, kind of Dean Martin and Jerry, what's his name? Jerry's kids.
Jerry Lewis.
They're kind of a Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis duo.
Right.
And if it's not for that interplay, I'm not sure that the cartoons are nearly as fun or as interesting. And the villains certainly aren't interesting enough to keep people engaged, because it's that weird collection of personalities on the villain side that really drives those cartoons.
I wish as an adult, as a kid, it didn't bother me. Like going back, because we're both writers, and you watch those things and you're like, why are they following this moron?
Yeah.
Why are these guys? What is in it for them? I mean, this guy clearly cannot take over the planet. He's not good at it. But they keep like
that has some parallels to what's going on in the real world right now.
I guess so, but like, I don't know if he's got a lot of money or what.
Likewise,
parallels
in the real world.
I don't quite understand it, but so I just think like Cobra should win every now and then. So stakes, but
I think most of that was off screen and kind of understood that they had made gains, or they would take something over and the Joes would come take it back.
Right.
And sometimes they would lose, but only briefly.
Right.
And Cobra, and then they come back and
like
Snake Eyes would
Joes
figure something out and beat Cobra.
Yeah, Joes would lose like during the weeks they have the movie. So Tuesday and Wednesday they're losing. Yeah. Thursday they've turned it around. Friday they've saved the day like it should be.
But that's great cartoon storytelling.
It is good.
Great serial storytelling.
And again, it's a lost art. It's definitely a lost art. I'm surprised that they've not tried to HBO or Adult Swim or something. I know was it Warren Ellis who wrote one?
Resolute.
Resolute.
Yeah.
Which was brutal.
Pretty brutal. Yeah.
Like,
fun to watch, but brutal.
Right. It's like, oh look, here is Bazooka. He's dead. I'm like, oh, okay. Serious.
So, people that Bazooka's beloved to a lot of Joe fans, right?
I love Bazooka. I loved him in Alpine.
The bromance is real. Yeah.
I like their bromance more than I like Leatherhead and Wetsuit, who I think are just I think they're a gay couple, and they just like, we can't let anyone know, so we'll just be catty during the show. And so they're like, oh, they're not best friends, but they go home and that's what they end up the same bed every night.
They're just arguing.
Right.
Just a couple disagreement.
Right. Because I was like, I used as a kid going, this is a little bit too much tension here. This trying just a little too hard, I guess. Yeah. My number 3 is Quick Kick.
Quick Kick is amazing. It was hard for me to not put him on my list. Beautiful design.
Great weapon set.
Yes.
What I love about Quick Kick, and outside of the impressions that he did, which are mostly John Wayne and James Cagney. I
forgot about Cagney, but
he did a lot of Cagney. Quick Kick is the only guy I know who will be in the Arctic in a jacket and no shoes. No shoes.
Well, he had mastered that art of keeping his blood flows even throughout his body, so he never got
frostbite.
I mean,
that is almost that's almost as ridiculous as in the Mass Device. No, Revenge of Cobra, when in the Arctic the Dreadnoks have motorbikes that they've scaled up a mountain. I'm like, okay,
they're expert level riders.
No, they were carrying. You see that because there's a scene where they're scaling, and they've got backpacks that have their motorcycles in them. I'm like, I don't think that's how that works, but go them. But Quick Kick came with a nunchucks and a katana that you could put in his backpack. He had ninja stars on his chest, painted on his chest. He looked cool. Yep. I'm like, and this is before, like, when we were kids, Snake Eyes wasn't a ninja. He was a commando.
That's correct.
And so kids made him a ninja because we had a ninja, and so it made sense. But like, my Quick Kick fought Storm Shadow. My Quick Kick, he was my karate guy because he was the karate guy. Yep. I mean, if I'm going to be in the Arctic with no shoes, I'm going to do some kung fu.
Absolutely. Every time it was Quick Kick and Storm Shadow. I was more likely to put Snake Eyes up against Firefly.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they're both commandos.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense to me.
Quick Kick was also just a charming character, funny.
Right.
Always came through.
Right. And in the cartoon show, you're not sure he's in the military or not. They just pick him up.
Yeah. And that's kind of how they handled that second series.
Right.
It's like,
we're just
oh, you're here? Join.
You're
Welcome.
cool.
You're conscripted.
Except his girlfriend. Remember that episode? His girlfriend wants to join G.I. Joe.
Yes.
And so that's the one where Cobra Commander tries to put his face on the moon.
That's right. What ends up being on the moon at the end? I can't remember. There's something that ends up on the moon.
I can't remember. I have to remember.
Is it just Yo-Jo or something silly like that?
Yeah, on our moon. That's the smartest thing to do, guys. Number 2, your silver medal.
Major Blood. Probably my actual favorite character.
See, I thought if I was putting money on it, I would have put Major Blood into your number 1.
It's tough, man.
Because I think I know what your number 1 is now.
Yeah, my number 1 is very obvious because it was just the first figure I ever bought. But Major Blood was the second mail away, and such a different looking figure. He had the Cobra helmet in black, but he had the handlebar mustache, the eye patch, the bionic arm,
right,
and that weird gun, a little laser gun that he had, the pistol.
Major Blood is that first figure that you look at and you realize that this, out of all the G.I. Joes or Cobras, he's seen some shit.
Oh yeah. Well, I got one of the Sideshow 12-inch Major Bloods for Christmas the year before last, and he is so grizzled and so amazingly deeply etched.
Did that 1,000-yard stare?
Yes. Like I won't talk about this no more.
Cobra.
But
he's at the bar talking about how many people he lost at the temple and trying to get the weather dominator piece.
The heavy water.
Heavy water.
The tube snakes or whatever.
It's like, man, it ain't 3 of my guys. Cobra.
And but Major Blood in that really bad Australian accent that I can't even try to duplicate is
that Michael Bell too? Is that Duke?
It might be.
I think Duke is doing that
but
voice.
He is the one who yells retreat every time the Cobras get turned back. It's Major Blood in that Australian accent. Yeah, and it just cracks me up every time. He'd always lead them in, and like 2 minutes later, reach, they're going back. And I love that character because of the mail away aspect, but also because of his really ineffective battlefield tactics.
Right.
He had a great file card too.
My number 2 is Serpentor, and let me tell you why. I understand how people feel about it,
but a lot of people love him just as much. It's like a 50-50 split, I think.
Right. He is damn ridiculous, but that series that makes him is, I'm like, oh, that's how I learned about DNA, man. Yeah. Because I was in 3rd grade when that shit came out, and the idea of that you can make a dude out of like past dudes, and he's a super dude, and plus he's got part Sergeant Slaughter in him. Yeah. I'm kind of into this, but the toy is fucking great. So he comes with a cape. He's got the weird snake thing. Yep. He comes with a dagger and a snake. And the air chariot's one of the coolest vehicles in the line.
Undeniable.
And so, I mean, it's got the weird fan on the, like, it doesn't look like it should work, but you know it does. Yeah. And so I understand, like, in the cartoon series, they don't quite know what to do with him. Or, like, because in the comic either, because Larry Hama hated it as soon as he could kill him.
D'Artagnan just killed him.
Right. It's like, oh, I'm done with that guy.
Shot him from a mile away with an arrow.
They kept him for a year, and then it's like, the toys are done. Killing that guy. However, for me, what wins it over is him in G.I. Joe the movie. He is kind of frightening. Yeah. So, like, and even as silly as he's doing the Cobra, la 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 la. I mean, I'm like, but as a kid, I'm all into it. He's flying that Night Raven, he lands it. He's got he's like a leader. Like Cobra Commander would never like fire mortar shots. He's there with a mortar gun, like Doc out there, and just bombing the shit out of G.I. Joe. But flames are everywhere. Yeah. Duke comes to fight him. He's about to kill Falcon. Duke comes to fight him. He pulls a snake out that turns into a spear. I don't understand how that even happens.
Only Thulsa Doom has done this before, by the way. Right. He turned them into arrows.
Right, and then impales Duke in the heart with that sucker, and then it's like, your brother took it. Peace out. I mean, I love the gold armor. Yeah. I like that. I mean, he's a great looking. I get why he's silly. This I Command is silly.
Well, to be honest, all the Cobra people are silly.
Right.
But And my reason for disliking Serpentor was very personal.
Right.
I love Cobra Commander,
Right.
and he took over, and I was like, no.
Right. And I like Cobra Commander's like, I'll be the power behind the throne. And he probably could have if he just stuck to that plan.
Sure.
But him and Scrap Iron were just like,
Yeah.
who's probably the loyalist guy to Cobra
I
Commander?
love Scrap Iron. Deserves to be on my list somewhere. It's just
Honorable mention, man. It's great. He comes with great accessories, a great looking figure.
The little missiles.
Right.
Launcher. So amazing.
Scrap Iron's such a good guy. And just I'm in it for the money.
Yeah.
And so I like Scrap Iron too, but Serpentor to me is, just looked so just awesome. And like I said, come with that air chariot and just
Serpentor turned Cobra Commander into Starscream and more than just voice.
That's true. That's true.
He became Starscream at that point,
right.
just trying to undermine Serpentor all the time, like Starscream did to Megatron.
Right.
And I liked, it wasn't that I disliked that role for Cobra Commander. It was just at that age, I was like, I just like Cobra Commander more.
The two things that don't like Serpentor or how they wrote Serpentor were both in the movie. So like in the beginning of the movie, Pythona's coming. She has ninjaed her way all the way to Serpentor, and Serpentor, he's the leader. He knows he's got to be protected, and so he goes down his little pit of protection or whatever the hell it is. But then he gets up, pulls out a sting, is like, all right, we're gonna fight. You made it. We're gonna fight. And she's like, no, I'm hot chick. We know each other. I'm like, okay, but so when Sergeant Slaughter and the Marauders show up, they shoot at him, and he's like, Nemesis Enforcer, protect me. And I'm like, what happened to the badass guy who's going to fight? Do you just want to beat up women? Is that what this is?
That's just part of his character.
Maybe so. I'm just like, at 10, I'm like, something doesn't add up in continuity. And then how he just goes out as a punk at the end of he just kind of gets his rides away on it, gets thrown away on his air chariot. I'm just like, just not
very Baron Harkonnen like.
Yeah, and they kind of punk him out in the Dick series by turning him into a Gila monster or something, to make Cobra Commander human again. Fucking Operation Dragonfire.
Yeah, so bad.
All right, number one.
It's Snake Eyes.
I knew it. I
mean,
could have put money on it.
It sounds like a sellout.
Which version?
Choice.
Any?
Commando for sure.
God, the second one's so good though.
It's a beautiful figure, and
That's
but this is all nostalgia for me.
Right. Absolutely.
I thought the blue 1990 version of Snake Eyes was pretty good.
Right.
The Ninja Force stuff was terrible, including Snake Eyes. There's no articulation. He just has a kick function. It's a terrible figure. But I think those three versions, the 82 original version, the Commando version, the 84 Night Visor Ninja version, and then the 1990 back to Commando with a silver mask and the blue outfit with the black pants. Those are just gorgeous figures. I mean, and they completely changed his look and kind of his function every time, but it worked.
Right. I love Snake Eyes. I love him and Storm Shadow though have my favorite upgrades. The version 2 Snake Eyes, they were like, what can we do to make him better? Oh, let's give him a sword and a wolf. And I'm like, yes. Like, I don't know why, but I'm all into this.
The Night Visor.
Right.
Which just works so well.
He looks so good. And and that artwork of him just with a dog, you're just like, okay, where'd you get this wool? You're like before you see the show, you're just like, and I think CoverGirl names the dog.
She does.
It's just like, because he can't talk. He's like, we'll just call you Timber. And
do you want to write down a name? No. I'm just going to name a dog for you. The most ablest thing that ever happened on G.I. Joe. Thanks, CoverGirl. Well, you would expect somebody named CoverGirl to do exactly that. So.
Right. And plus, again, as aforementioned, he takes radiation very well.
Yeah.
In the comics, he's all into Scarlet.
Yes.
Which is a good. When I started reading the comics later on, I was like, "Oh, this is different."
Yeah,
I didn't expect that.
They were partners and lovers, and Hama just does such a great job with that whole Arashikage thing and the way he runs those stories in the Hard Master and the Soft Master, and the relationship between Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes that doesn't exist in the cartoons at all. But it's such a part of the integral DNA of G.I. Joe in general. I can, Snake Eyes was the first figure I bought, and I'm going to tell you that's why I love him.
Absolutely.
I bought him. I bought a straight arm. I mowed a friend of my mom's grass for $10, and she took me to the 5 and 10 store. don't know what that is, just look it up.
5 dimes.
There's still a few
Owls
around.
5 and 10.
There's still Owls 5 and 10, a few in the local area.
There's one in Gulf Shores.
Yep, saw the other day, and I bought a Snake Eyes, straight arm, and a rapid fire motorcycle for less than $10. This is way back in the day, and they're still sitting on my shelf at home right now. And
Nice.
in fact, I got the classified Commando Snake Eyes that comes with, ironically, timber,
Right.
even though he came with the night version before. And I promptly threw that Commando Snake Eyes on the big breaker rapid fire motorcycle. So that's, I have them sitting there next to each other. And that's, as a kid who didn't get many things like that, who couldn't afford many things like that, that figure meant a lot to me.
Right.
And that's why I put that one on my list instead of the night version, which is clearly a superior figure aesthetically. But I love Commando Snake Eyes.
My number one is similar. I got my number one figure as a hand-me-down from Goodwill, so I didn't have any accessories. And he comes with, I think, some of my favorite accessories in the entire line. And I'm talking about Spirit.
Oh yeah, Spirit's amazing.
So as a Native American, there's not a lot of Indian toys out there outside of Tonto for the Lone Ranger series, and so which I never had. And but to see Spirit on the cartoon show and not and do stuff. And not just be like the guy in the background, or I'm always going to be the tracker or something. He's doing cool things. I got my Spirit from the Goodwill, so I never had. But he comes with great. You were there when I bought my first complete one in Huntsville a couple of years back, which I have over there. He's got this great backpack, this arrow shooting gun, which a little on the nose, but it still looks cool. I was all into it. But Freedom. That eagle is just beautiful. One of my favorite animal pieces that they did, which is weird for the military. It's like, I get the dogs, but like they're like, well, they got dogs now. Let's give Dusty a bobcat. And you get a wolf, you get a bird, you get a gator, fox, raptor. So that probably wasn't the word. The crystal ball is probably the worst figure. Right,
it just comes with a little 3D spinny thing.
It's the thing that doesn't spin. Just that.
Yeah. No, I think there are worse figures, but as far as accessories,
I would say to like 90, because I think a lot of the figures after 90 are dumb. But like
they get pretty bad.
But like before, like when they're still trying, I think Crystal Ball's up there. Has to be.
Yeah. And
Zanzibar
doesn't come with. Zanzibar's okay. Yeah, he's the worst Dreadnought for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know. Zanzibar's pretty bad.
But like, to have Spirit, it was so important. And it was like, he led all my Joe teams and just was, and also led the rebellion against the Empire because I mixed my toys, Damon. Well, Yoda trained him on Dagobah. It was great.
Even his depiction in the cartoons was he was somebody who could survive on his own. He didn't have to have the team. He was the one who took on Storm Shadow first.
Right.
And
like he's like
held his own. And he didn't have to have the team. He was kind of out there spearhead of their whatever mission they were on by himself. Right. He was the tracker, but he was really reconnaissance and sending back information, but also here comes a ninja. I guess I got to fight this ninja. And he did it.
It's like, do we have a guy to fight ninjas? Nope, I got this.
And if I remember correctly, Freedom knocks away a shuriken or two at some point in that fight.
Yeah. So. Also during the Excalibur fight too.
Yes.
He's like, because Storm Shadow and Spirit are involved in that too. I like the first time they fight is during Revenge of Cobra when they're trying to get the piece on Devil's Island.
Yep.
Of the Weather Dominator, and they're underground and they're going to drown.
Yeah.
And then like World War II warriors, we're going to accept our fate. And I'm like, holy shit, I'm 7. I'm like, is this how the show's going to go?
It's just went dark fast.
Right. But it's like, it's also pretty badass. It's like, all right, we're going to stop killing each other and just go out like warriors. I'm like, okay, all right, this is what we do. All right. I'm feeling it. I'm feeling Yo Joe. And, it's so good. Man, Spirit's great looking figure. The Classified's coming soon. He looks great.
They nailed it.
I don't know. Freedom looks good.
Spirit any better. They stayed true to the original color scheme, but they got the blue button down and the pants that he wears so right.
Right.
Updated the hairstyle.
Updated the gun, so he doesn't
Yeah.
have the
Yeah, I mean,
the area.
I was
beyond the
so
nose area.
happy to see Spirit because of the way they handle it, and that's what I really hope they'll do with the classified going forward. And they did it with Stalker,
Right.
where they just updated just this much, just a little bit of the costume with that scarf, and they gave him more of a black and gray camo than just the traditional kind of olive drab camo, and it just looks so tight.
Right.
And he's got kind of a low top fade when you take the beret off. So I'm really pleased with all of that. So, but I love Spirit too. Always have.
Well, I will have to make a note. The next time you come on, we're going to talk about like the 10 worst